Hi guys, welcome back to a new episode of the PS2 Collector. I am your host Gamer1994, and on today's episode I'm going to discuss the top 5 rarest games on the PS2. So I'm going to discuss the current market of these games, the price, as well as how difficult it's going to be for me to obtain these games. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss this. Game number 5 is .hack Quarantine, a series developed by CyberConnect 2. There were 4 games in the series released, but the most rarest one is .hack Quarantine. Now this game is a MMORPG, but the game had a reputation for having poor controls as well as clunky gameplay, but it did well enough in Japan to develop a very strong fan base, but it only got a limited release in North America and the PAL region. And for me personally, by looks of the gameplay and as well as reviewers, this game was ahead of its time. What are my chances of getting this game? It is going to be really difficult, especially in the PAL region where it got a very few prints, so I'm going to have to pull a couple of phone calls as well as searching online to get my hands on this bad boy. And that, my friends, is game number 5, rarest of all time, .hack Quarantine. Game number 4 is another very obscure title on the PS2, and that is Ocean Commander. Now what makes this game rare, especially on the PS2, this game also got a release on the Wii, but it's the PS2 version that is one of the most rarest games you'd probably ever have to find. And the reason why that is this game was only released in a specific country, and that is the country of Italy. So if you want to get this game, especially if you really want it, you're gonna have to go to Italy and try to find it there, which is gonna be really difficult because everyone knows that this game is very coveted. What is the price for this game? So according to the latest figures, as well as the retro boom of the early 2020s and the inflation of it, this game is going for nearly £700 on the PS2, which is way more than its counterpart on the Wii. On the Wii U, it only goes for like £3 to £4, but if you want it on the PS2, you're gonna have to fork out a huge price, and that is £450 to £750 depending on condition. So yeah, that's game number 4, Ocean Commander. Game number 3 is a very obscure title. I've not heard of it, but it's good to know that it is out there, and that is Michigan Report from Hell, and it was developed by Grasshopper. And this game did become sought after because it was only released in Japan and Europe. It was never released in North America for some reason. Despite the game being set in North America in Chicago, it only got a PAL and Japanese release, which is absolutely mind-blowing, despite the game being, set in America, which I find quite strange. So it has a mysterious story about a plane crash, and again, with these games, it only got a limited release. It did not do well, so majority of these rare games did not do well in the market and got forgotten throughout time. But if you want to get a copy of this game, it's gonna sell around £480, and the chance of me getting this game is very, very low because it's very hard to find a copy out there. I've tried to search for it online for sale. They are going for a ridiculous price. It looks like I'm gonna have to, pull out strings and fork out a huge sum to get this game. That, my friend, is game number 3, Michigan Report from Hell. Game number 2 is a very mysterious Japanese horror game, and that is Kuon. Now Kuon, for me, I think is up there with number 1 as being possibly the rarest games to ever obtain. And for me, in my personal challenge, it's going to be really difficult to obtain this game, but I'm gonna try my best to get this game on my collection. I'll do whatever it takes. But yeah, so this game is a horror game, and the reason why it's rare because it got a limited print release in North America and in Europe. There was a bit more prints released in Japan, but even in Japan the game did not sell well. And again, with these games, they just got thrown away and just forgotten. But over time, when you're trying to collect, especially nowadays, there's loads of collectors out there, getting this game can be really difficult. But what is the price to pay for this game? And that price, you're looking up to nearly £600 to £1,000, depending on condition and depending what the condition the manual is in. But yeah, for me the chance of getting this game is very, very low. But what can beat it? And that, my friends, is game number 2. Come on. Game number 1, and possibly the rarest PS2 game, as well as being one of the rarest games out there, and possibly one of the most controversial games ever released. And that is, as you all know, number 1, Rule of Rose. This game is not only the rarest and most expensive in the world, it was very controversial and possibly one of the most controversial games ever released. The game had very, dark tones to child abuse, and that's what got it banned. And yeah, so this game was developed by Atlas in Europe, and in Japan I think it was developed by Square Enix. What are the chances of me getting this game? Let's just say it is very, very low, because the prints is very hard to find. Despite I heard in the news that they found some what do you call it, sealed copies in Italy, and since that discovery the value of this game has dipped in the recording of this video. So previously, before the finding in Italy, the game was worth around £700, but since that find, it's gone down to 319. So if you want to get this game, you have to get it now before it raises up in price again. So I'm definitely looking into that, and hopefully I can get that into my collection and review it for you guys. And that's the end of my video. So those were the top 5 rarest games in the PS2, and will I get them? Hopefully I do, because I really want to collect every single PS2 games ever released worldwide. And that, my friends, is the end of the video. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more content like this, please click on the subscribe button, and if you want to know when my video goes up, click on the bell notification below. Anyways guys, until next time, and don't forget to subscribe. Take care.